Tradition. You can't buy it. It's earned the hard way over decades and eras. On the field, on the road, in the mud. With guts and with grit, and firm belief that today could be our day. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is back. Still alive, still kicking, the oldest prize in American soccer. 96 teams, part-timers to major leaguers. Survive and move on, lose and you go home. So we call all underdogs, dreamers and believers. And we ask you again, one simple question. Are you up for the cup?
It's the 110th U.S. Open Cup, and we come to Montclair, New Jersey, as FC Motown out of the NPSL making its 7th consecutive appearance in the Open Cup plays USL League One's Westchester SC, the expansion franchise, in the tournament for the first time alongside former U.S. Women's National Team star Casey White. Michael Washring with you here this evening. And what a dynamic we have for this tournament in general. 96 teams in the modern era. We'll have so many different professional teams. 95 games ranging from March to October 1st. It's the oldest annual team sports tournament in the U.S. Last year, LAFC in a thriller took out Sporting Kansas City in the final. And what will happen here this year? You take a look at the profile for FC Motown. Founded in 2012, this is their 8th U.S. Open Cup appearance. They finished 3rd in the 3rd round in 2022. They got $25,000 for that by being the best team out of that ranking. While Westchester SC, they were just founded not too long ago, almost a calendar year ago they were founded. So obviously their first ever U.S. Open Cup appearance. And out of USL League One, they'll get ready for their 2nd match in club history. And Casey, here's the starting 11s for these two groups. What an interesting dynamic. You have a lot of professionals for Westchester SC and some players that are trying to make it back into the pro ranks.
Well, that's what's so entertaining about the U.S. Open Cup. And for FC Motown, one of the big leaders that you expect to see tonight is Jean Voltaire. He'll be in that back line. He's the communicator, the organizer for them. And on the flip side, for Westchester SC, Juan Obregon is going to be big up top for them and will create a lot of chances in the attacking third.
So what will happen here tonight as we watch FC Motown out of the NPSL and Westchester SC here this evening in Montclair, New Jersey? We're ready for action. Great to have you with us. The 2025 U.S. Open Cup is underway between Westchester and FC Motown. Well, Casey, fascinating to watch how these two teams come out here early in this match. We spoke with Ray Weaver and the rest of this FC Motown group. They're very motivated because they have a lot of guys that are either looking for their next professional contract or looking for that first pro contract.
Well, what more can you ask for? You have this matchup. You want to show that you can compete at that level. And so there's such natural motivation in that for FC Motown to be able to show what they can do and that they can play at that professional level. So it just makes it so exciting on both sides.
And then you have Westchester SC, one of the 6 teams from New York in this tournament. Lamar Lawrence loops this ball around, chasing after it, and just unable to get there was Bolaños. Well, for FC Motown, this is not unfamiliar territory for this group. And when you look up and down this roster, a lot of different guys have played MLS Next Pro action, a few with NYCFC2. We'll break down that dynamic as we go throughout the match. And look at this FC Motown team that last year lost 3-0 against NYCFC2. In fact, one of their starters tonight, Steve Benarski, was in that match for the winning side of Next Pro and now joins FC Motown. Nice left side, yet again a chase. Punched away. Lundstedt. And it for a moment, you have Motown in the black kits tonight, and it's the white kits for Westchester. Casey, you're also looking at Westchester. They just played their first ever match of any competitive style just a few days ago. And the benefit that they have, 11 days until their next match, but certainly tonight, an opportunity to try to continue that meshing point for an expansion franchise.
Well, it's definitely nice to have the amount of time they have before their next game, but as you mentioned, for a team that's just coming together, and we talked with Dave Carton about this, that he was really happy with the growth within the game that they had in their first game. And if you're a coach, you've got to be happy with that. If you even see that within a game, then you get to add another match like this on top of it with training as well. There's going to be some quick growth for this group.
He felt like if the game was maybe 5 or 10 minutes longer, or had they clicked 5 or 10 minutes earlier, they could have left Greenville with a victory, instead settled on a 1-1 draw in that matchup. Well, a full night of action here in the U.S. Open Cup, opening round play. It's going to be a busy next 2 days after tonight. Watch all the action here as U.S. Soccer continues to put on this dynamic tournament. Amateurs all playing against the professional sides in this opening round matchups. The advancing teams will play against each other in round 2. Joel Johnson cycled around and held on to by Noah Powder. And he loses possession. Oh, looked like it rolled out of play, but it actually stays in. Bolaños takes it away. Both coaches speaking highly of the U.S. Open Cup. Dave Carton saying that U.S. Soccer should be extremely proud. He's been involved with it for a bunch of years from his time at Charlotte Independence. And he said, I think it summed it up well, it really knits U.S. Soccer together because you have the amateur sides, you have the highest of pros with the MLS groups in there, but then you have all the USL teams and the other professional teams in there that really this can be a platform for these players to take that next step. A good surge here along that right-hand side, and a chase. Sadie tosses it in. First ball punched away. Second ball flown to the sky, and then nodded out. Johnson had it for a moment, and it's recovered.
And I think what we're seeing right now, we're going to see a lot of, is just having a really good defensive organized shape from FC Motown, especially early on when you come up against a side like Westchester SC, and with all the talent that they have on their roster, the longer that you can stay structured defensively, the better, and build into the game.
I think it's a theme that we'll talk about, you know, every match that we watch. It's very cliche to say the first 10, 15 minutes is critically important, but in particular in these, because some of these amateur sides don't really practice a lot together, don't really play a lot of games together. So the more minutes that you can be out there maintaining a tight score line, it's better for the group and leads that confidence growing forward as well.
It definitely is, and you mentioned the confidence piece. I think that is the really important piece, is managing the emotional side of these games, because you've got to know your group. Sometimes the emotion and the passion, you want to let your team go with it, but also you have to figure out how to maintain certain portions of the game. When can you kind of feel the rhythm, feel the tempo, and gain that confidence that you can play higher up the field as you go on.
Westchester in possession as they break across midfield. Lawrence pops back. And now Bolaños, 25-year-old, played collegiately at High Point after growing up in Florida. FC Motown content with packing things in through the middle and making it very difficult right now for Westchester to find any space. It's a good slide tackle, and it is taken away. And on the pivot, it's Voltaire. Maintains his balance. Voltaire taps forward. It all starts with the 30-year-old Haitian's defense. Now a direct pass across the field, links up. Neto throws it off of a defender. It's out for a corner kick. And FC Motown with their first chance of the night.
And I think that's what we're going to see from FC Motown, really structured defensively. Voltaire, we talked about previously before the kickoff, of just like his organization and discipline and ability to step and win balls. It's going to be really important. It's how they counterattack to generate opportunities like this that's going to be important for them.
So let's see how they fare on their first set piece. Eli Cronali 27-year-old, grew up in Columbus. Readies for this one as he hooks this ball in, and Dane Jacoman has no issues. Jacoman, last 3 years with Loudoun United in the USL Championship. 24-year-old, went to school at Penn. Was one of the youngest keepers in the USL Championship a year ago. And back in USL League One after he won the Golden Glove in 2021. Lawrence.
One thing we're seeing from Westchester is they're really trying to get their outside backs high, create those overloads in the outside channel.
It's a good long ball forward, but once again, Voltaire intervenes. And it did take just enough of a ricochet off of Voltaire to give Westchester its first set piece of the night. Westchester, one of the 26 newcomers to this tournament, and one of the 5 from USL League One. Looking to strike here in the early going. Cross comes in, and it is headed away. There was some congestion there, but well handled, and then Bermudez aids it forward. Bolaños. Wrapped back around last year. So many different upsets throughout the tournament. Particularly at the beginning, and that's what makes this tournament so beautiful. Sadie charges after this, has to slam the brakes on, sprints in. Sadie whips this ball in, but it whistles high.
When you can just see how quick when Sadie gets going, how dangerous he can be in the 1v1 isolation, gets his speed up, decides to use it with that long touch. But what he does well here is he gets inside the penalty area. He has all the advantage there because you certainly don't want to foul in that moment, just not able to get it on frame. But that's an area that Westchester definitely looks dangerous in.
Seven matches currently going on in the U.S. Open Cup. Only one has a score, and that's Hartford Athletic leading 2-0 in the 52nd minute against New York Shockers. A couple goals in the first half of that match is the difference. Here, both sides have had corners. Both sides defensively have dealt with those chances. Ruiz carries. And that is a foul. You can hear, if you're listening closely, don't foul, and that's exactly what happens.
Well, back to goal, the player is not going anywhere in that moment, so what you don't want to do is give them the opportunity to put everyone in the penalty box, just a little bit too aggressive in that moment right there, because now they get to serve it into the box. But still, really good from FC Motown, getting numbers up pretty quickly, because they're in that 4-4-1-1 defensively, but they are transitioning to the attack quick.
And it leads to this set piece here, just past the 10-minute mark, scoreless between Westchester and FC Motown here in the first round of the U.S. Open Cup. Michael Watring, Casey White, and our group with you here in New Jersey for this one. Christopher Bermudez lines this one up. Appeared with Des Moines a couple of years ago in the Open Cup as he hooks this ball to the back post. Jacoman aggressive, off of his line, scoops, tosses, and here comes the counter for Westchester. It's covered very well by FC Motown. Left channel. Acceleration, two defenders over there converging on Germain. Here's Matt Leong, collegiately at Columbia. He's speed. Hit well and over the top of everybody. To put things in perspective here, for the viewers at home, you have Westchester with a bunch of different players with USL Championship experience and Kimar Lawrence as well, who has MLS experience in his time. Meanwhile, you're looking at FC Motown. While a good chunk of them have professional playing experience, a lot of their action to this day, they have full-time jobs outside of this, and they do a lot of recreational money leagues in New York and New Jersey to stay fit and play as they hope to get that next step in their career.
Well, it just shows the talent that exists, not only in the United States, but in that greater New York area, New Jersey, that exists where these players are able to play. And that's what I love seeing about this, is how they come together. And that's why we talked about Westchester getting better and better throughout games, but really for FC Motown as well, how can they develop throughout this game and figure out, okay, how do we play with each other in units to really do well going forward?
Westchester's second ever match. FC Motown out of the NPSL. Won the Keystone East Conference and went to the national final last year. A shove, and here's a foul. And frustration from FC Motown, you can see, that gives this Westchester side a chance here on an attacking set piece.
And a lot of what has happened has been down that right side, just the interplay and change with Obregon joining in and Sadie taking off the dribble, being able to go into that space, of Stephen Payne. Sadie had inverted inside to create the 3v2, but it's really good off the right side with those three playing in combination with each other.
Let's see how it handles this time around. Last year, the USL League One went 11-1 in the opening round of this Open Cup. Ball rolled to the top of the 18, and it's promptly pilfered by Cordero. Lawrence settles and recycles back for Jacoman. Those moments right there are ones that if you're FC Motown, you can breathe a sigh of relief that you didn't have to deal with anything inside of the box. Shove and a foul. Temperature sitting in the mid-50s or so for this one. A lot of wind to contend with, but earlier in the day it was in the 60s, so very much what you would expect from the Northeast this time of year as the temperature continues to heat up. It's off of Bolaños' back. Eddie Speed corrals. Ruiz. This ball slices, but nobody was making that run. Bermudez had stopped, so Lawrence retreats and grabs.
But Jermaine's done really well to come back into the midfield third and be able to hold possession for FC Motown. Now it's just a decision-making of when can we get numbers forward to try to build through the thirds and different phases of play. But I like what Jermaine's doing. He feels very comfortable back to goal.
This is a well-played ball on the right-hand side. Numbers forward. A slide tackle from Leong to get the ball away. FC Motown passing every defensive test that they've had so far. Ball bobbles, Bermudez taps, Jermaine turns, and plays Bermudez along. Jermaine was offside, so the flag goes up here to nullify that moment. So far we've had one official shot attempt in this match. And Miami FC has scored against Naples United 1-0 in that one just at the end of the first half of that matchup as we keep our eyes peeled on how things are sorting out around the rest of the U.S. Open Cup and looking for our first goal here tonight in this one. And a reminder, in the Open Cup, if we are all level after the full 90, 2 15-minute extra sessions should we need penalty kicks after that if all level. Schaefer backpedals. Schaefer Grew up in New Jersey, played at Rampo College, won 38 matches during his college time.
And it does look like FC Motown starting to settle in just a little bit. You mentioned it, defensively, they were up to the task on those first few opportunities from Westchester. But as the game goes on, Westchester's still looking to go forward, but getting a little bit more impatient because of the defensive structure potentially that they're seeing.
Well, these are always the moments in these matches where sometimes you see the pro sides or the higher division sides start to get a little bit antsy, thinking, how have we not scored yet? How have we not had more chances? And those can be the moments where they can be susceptible.
Well, especially early on in the season when you're still trying to fully form your team identity and the way you want to play both in and out of possession. It can be difficult because you don't have 10, 15 games to look back on and say, this is how we play all the time and this is what we've done. So that growth within game is really important for those types of sides.
This ball is given away, and it's Germain on it. Germain trying to win the race against Pierre, while Bobby Pierre comes over to angle it out, but it's last touched by Germain. That was a promising moment right there for FC Motown.
And right there is just a little bit sloppy in possession. Germain's ready, McGlynn's not able to recover, but Pierre does cut the angle well, gets the little bit of a touch off of Germain. He didn't really like that call, but it is a goal kick. But those are the moments where Westchester's in very expansive shape, so the technical execution important because Motown looks like they want to step right away and win that.
Bobby Pierre, 22 years of age, played the last 3 years with the Real Monarchs in the Real Salt Lake organization. And just as important it is for some of these amateur players to showcase their skills, these are opportunities for a lot of these players in the lower levels of the professional ranks to showcase that they can play with the best talent in this country. Always a showcase to see who gets signed, who moves forward. Here in the 20th minute, we're scoreless so far. Both sides have had a couple interesting opportunities off of some set pieces, but so far both keepers have been up to the task and the back lines have done well to thwart any chances. Watching Casey White and her team with you here in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup's opening round, the first of 3 days in round number 1, the start of this 96-team tournament. Good ball forward here. Obregon tries to chip it through, unable to do so. Now turns into the middle of the park. He gets taken out, and it's a great chance here on a set piece, and it all starts with the turn from Obregon.
And Obregon's incredibly hard to deal with. He has a free roll in this game. He is floating in so many spaces. He floats to the outside, he floats to the inside, and he just gets that half yard of space where all they can do is either let him go or foul. They opt for the foul in that moment, and now it sets up the set piece.
What happens here? Will it be a shot at target from J.C. Obregon? Has scored twice in his 4 career appearances in the U.S. Open Cup. When he was with Charlotte Independence last year. Scored 15 during the regular campaign. 27-year-old from Brooklyn. J.C. Obregon whips this ball hard, but it's right into the chest of a waiting Josh Schaefer.
And I'm not surprised that he goes for this in this moment. He's played incredibly well so far, but really good hands by Schaefer, not allowing a rebound as Blumstein was right there looking for anything that might have popped out.
Schaefer sends this ball down the park. Germain misjudges it. McGlynn knocks it back. FC Motown's been on quite the run as an organization. They've been to 3 NPSL national finals since 2018. A whistle, a foul, and a card. Goes against Bermudez.
And this is a pretty simple call for our center official because very obvious Ruiz just goes for the leg to slow down Obregon right there in the middle, just on the takeaway.
Our first booking of the night comes here in the 22nd minute. side will strike first. Will be the upstarts from the NPSL, FC Motown, the expansion team, and the USL's League One, Westchester. There have been some pockets around midfield, and now this ball over the top. Bolaños is offside. Westchester trying to push the envelope a little bit with those direct passes, haven't worked so far.
Well, you're seeing Bolaños and Prince Sadie both kind of come in a little bit more invert, which allows Lawrence to have some space wide. It allows Stephen Payne to have some space wide, but those direct balls aren't really the ones that are on. It's going a little bit wider into those wing backs as they get higher.
There's a foul whistled against Obregon, this time against Eric Ruiz. Ruiz at Rutgers, and granted a chance to play here with FC Motown, 19-year-old. Johnson plays that back. Swarming defensive work here from FC Motown. Leads to a giveaway. Daniel Cordero starts things off. And then that pass dummied along and just out of the reach of Jermaine, out for a goal kick. Dane Jacoman's former team, Loudon United, have fallen behind Westchester United 1-0. First 25 minutes of that matchup. Powder loops this ball around. Bolaños. Joel Johnson.
And I like this patience from Westchester SC because it just shifts the back line and midfield block of FC Motown. And sometimes you have to change the point of attack 2 or 3 times to find those spaces to be able to break lines going forward.
McGlynn pieces this ball down the park. Nobody over in that direction, and Josh Schaefer catches. Jermaine makes this run in the middle. It loops over the head, and Dane Jacoman was out there. Flag is up for offside, but yet again, Jermaine finding a little bit of space in between lines. On window, Jermaine was the leading scorer for NYCFC2 during its camp, but just a little bit older than the age profile they're looking for within that group. 23 years of age, wasn't signed. Now is very much looking for a chance somewhere with a professional team.
And again, better from Westchester SC. They eliminate 2 players, but then aren't able to continue to go forward. It's just a really good defensive block. So the ball has to move. It has to move quickly. It doesn't mean you have to be rushed, but moving them quickly will just eliminate more players to try to be able to penetrate.
Ruiz bobbles. Sadie sticks with it. And another giveaway. Johnson captures this. Lawrence. On the charge is Bolaños trying to find space. Ruiz did enough to redirect him out. Johnson spins this ball over the top. It's knotted down. Obregon laces it into the backside of a defender. advantage to continue to play that forward instead of going back. Bolaños trots through the middle. Yet again, another well-timed defensive play, this time Voltaire.
And they're being really strategic, FC Motown, in the way they defend. They're okay with the center backs having the ball, but when it does get into those dangerous areas, someone is very much committing to that challenge early on, and it's making it difficult to be able to play through those little spaces between defenders.
Last time Westchester was patient. They were able to get a ball over the top. Do an overgone shot. Lynn funnels through the middle. That's the wide area. Lawrence hoops this ball around. Sadie circles. And that ball ends up going out of play before it curls back in. And it's a goal kick in the end.
But normally when you come up with a defensive unit up against them like this, you want to use the wide spaces. We saw early on in this half where Sadie was in the wide space with Stephen Payne. That's where there was success. So right now, FC Motown is making sure that they don't really come through the central channel. So how can they eliminate that in the wide channels might be the answer.
Definitely sense that FC Motown have settled into this game and are now starting to find some more confidence, working the ball in the attack this time. And they get a corner kick out of this, with Jermaine again at the forefront.
And it's not just the way that they're defending and the structure they have, but they have a select way of how they want to transition out. They want that first ball, turn and play Jermaine maybe going on a diagonal run, just trying to catch Westchester out of their defensive shape.
Christopher Bermudez ready to go with this corner kick. Up in Union City, New Jersey. And Bermudez boomerangs this ball with the left foot. Jacoman is once again there. And a half hour into this match, we are still scoreless between FC Motown out of the NPSL and Westchester out of USL's League One. We've seen 4 total shot attempts in this match and in the 110th US Open Cup. It's great to have you on board, inviting you to come in and stay a while with us here for this matchup. Michael Watcher and Casey White on our team with you here in Montclair, New Jersey. Defenders converge, both get broken down. Bolaños sets a screen. Lawrence hits it first time after a redirect. It's bobbled, and it goes out for a corner kick after Leon couldn't slow it.
This is so much better in the midfield from Powder, taking on, you have to outplay in the 1v1, finds Lawrence, tries to play a ball in behind the back line, just a miscue at the back there for Leong, but I like that from Powder. You've got to draw some of those defenders out, and then there's a space that they can take advantage of.
Here's this corner kick. Flown in, Schaefer punches, headed away, and a chance on the doorstep from Sadie that gets blocked away by Ruiz.
And this was just all-out commitment from Ruiz. This ball gets played in incredibly dangerous, bounces right down off this header to Sadie, but if he doesn't leave his feet, Ruiz, right there in that moment, that's on frame, and I don't know if that's going to be saved.
Critical defensive moment and the hardest exam so far for this back line. Aced. Another corner kick here for Westchester. Goes back post, Schaefer punches it right into the middle of the field. Works out well though, because had Bermudez out there to punch it away. Westchester looking for a goal here, sensing that they might have a chance with FC Motown a little bit on their heels at this point. Jermaine steps up to take it back. Obergon plays through the middle. Will we have a goal before the first half is out? Or will we go into the locker room all square here in the first round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup?
When you could hear the FC Motown staff or bench or whoever it was organizing and saying not to chase, to relax, and also when they have the ball to try to retain possession, because fitness can become an issue too if you're defending a lot of the game. You have to take care of the ball as well and just kind of conserve energy as well when Westchester seems to have it the majority.
Jermaine crushes this ball across. Had one man over there. It was Israel Neto. That was in the ballpark, but it slides past him. This team doesn't do a lot of training as a group. A lot of it is done on the individual basis. And they play a lot of matches in New York and New Jersey, in the leagues throughout. So as you mentioned, the physical conditioning will be interesting to keep our eyes on as we go throughout the match.
Well, and on top of that, Coach Weaver was saying too that they have to be problem solvers. They have to learn how to play with each other very, very quickly and do that within game.
Bermudez turns. Eddie Speed backpedals, sets something up, tosses it in. Here's Jermaine out. Jermaine fires this across, and a bicycle chance from Neto. And it ends up hitting his hand. The 24-year-old who just finished playing at Providence had his sights set on the highlight reel.
I love this. Kemar Lawrence doesn't clear it out. It's put in right away from Jermaine, and he saw it all the way coming. He was like, this is made for me right now for the highlights. Unfortunate that it hits his hand, doesn't quite make the contact, but I like seeing that opportunity.
Israel Neto in his 1 year at Providence really ended the year strong. Goals in all 3 games of the Big East tournament and the first round of the NCAA tournament. And after finishing up with the Friars, he's very much looking for a pro contract and was looking to put his dent on this tournament. Joel Johnson in the middle of the field. Resets. It's been a good chunk of this here in the first half. Possession numbers see nearly 3/4 of the possession in favor of Westchester. Sadie turns. Sadie continues on his run. Bermudez leads it along. Jermaine chases. Good run here for Bolaños. Leaves it wide. Obergon slams on the brakes. He goes down. No foul. Obergon looking to get one there, but it was close.
Well, and this was great build-up play in the left flank. It's Bolaños that plays Obergon. It's a great cut right here, and it certainly looks like he was brought down. And he may have been looking for it a little bit there in that moment, but when you leave your feet in the box, that call could have gone either way.
Our official tonight, Caleb Furl, didn't see enough in it to point to the spot. Jermaine again turns. Leads for help. Bermudez. Strong ball for Ruiz. Able to maintain possession, and Jacoman Spins this ball out of play, so you see Motown dodge a bullet there and get possession right back. And a foul on Ruiz. One of the youngest players on the pitch tonight, 19 years of age. Not afraid to stick his boots in there.
Well, this is something I think Westchester SC is going to have to be aware of as they get in this big, expansive shape, and then Motown's looking to go against the two center backs quickly in transition because they can have three players immediately. You can see it right now. If there's a loss of possession, it can be a 3v2 going the opposite direction. So you know that's probably what Motown's looking for. If they can't establish that possession, how are they going to make it uncomfortable for Westchester?
Here's a foul. That will give Westchester a free kick.
And Lawrence just steps in there, and it didn't look necessarily like Bermudez knew that he was coming in at that moment, but a foul given that nonetheless.
Joe Johnson and Noah Powder are there. And it's Johnson hooking this ball in. Doesn't make it past the first defender. And a foul.
And it's Bolaños that steps in really aggressively in that moment against Crognale. But there's moments to press like that. I don't mind that they're stepping in those moments because you can keep them in their defensive end. Just a little bit too much gusto on it.
Lawrence wraps this ball around a defender, and it's Bolaños that chases. Tosses this ball around. Ruiz taps it out. Ruiz whips it wide. Germain chases after this. McGlynn backpedaling. Germain dodges and darts. Once again beats McGlynn. Maintains his balance. Swings it back. Bermudez. Chris Bermudez's shot into the chest of the defender, and took the wrong side of that one as well. Bolaños now returns the favor at the other end of the park. Bolaños works east to west, fires it across. Obregon had some space, but has to retreat. Obregon out. Powder swings it in off of Ruiz's back. End-to-end play here in the final 5 minutes of the first half. Scoreless between FC Motown and its 7th straight U.S. Open Cup against Westchester. The expansion franchise playing its second ever match.
Which I'm not convinced the end-to-end play helps FC Motown, but I'm really impressed by Germain and what he was doing in that attacking third, because him occupying all that space allowed players to join him in the attack.
And now it's Westchester looking to get the opening goal. Cross is blocked away, and it trickles out. Israel Neto this time defensively after his bicycle kick attempt a few moments ago. Best spell of possession here for FC Motown. How does this translate into the attack? The flag is up for offside.
And that's disappointing because Germain can see the whole line. When you're out on the wing, you can see what your positioning is. You have a lot of time for that. But it's promising possession. It allowed them to get more into their attacking shape. It allows them to rest on the ball a little bit. You can see the sophistication that Motown has when they do have the ball and they're able to pin Westchester back.
What do you think of what we've seen so far through the first 40-plus minutes?
I think it's what I expected, a structured defensive shape from Motown, making sure that they didn't let Westchester SC get anything early. That's not what you want, because then it becomes a very big mountain to climb. But they've grown into possession. And really, on the flip side, Westchester SC still has been very dangerous in moments. They've just been sporadic. So I'd like to see more of that in the wide space especially.
Westchester leads 5-2 in shots. They have the lone shot on target in this match. JC Obregon had a chance. Or check that was Prince AD in the 32nd minute. And Ruiz blocked it with an empty net, perhaps. Lawrence pulls it back.
Well, and that's where Noah Powder can penetrate a little bit more off the dribble. It just makes someone want to bite a little bit. Right now, it's either got to move quickly or you've got to draw someone out of their defensive shape.
And certainly time a factor here as well. If you're FC Motown, you know you just have a few more minutes to get through the opening 45. Bolaños takes a shot from long range, and it gets saved by Schaefer, but he bobbles it, and it goes out.
Well, you make a great point, because it could be all for nothing if you don't get to halftime here at 0-0 minimum. And Bolaños gets into that half space between the back line and the midfield line and just unleashes a shot. Schaefer does get a hand on it, but this is a dangerous corner kick.
And here in the 45th minute, this ball curled around. Schaefer sure-handed this time.
He makes up for it. I like that. He came out really strong in that moment. Make sure it doesn't become a problem.
Speed made that a little more dramatic than he needed, going right back into the teeth of Westchester. Bermudez hunts this ball, and the flag does go up for offside. Into stoppage time here in the first half. Westchester looking to open the scoring here at the end of the opening 45. Pushing numbers forward. This cross goes in. Voltaire heads it back to where it started. Getting just an edge before a block. And out for a corner kick here for Westchester.
Well, they're rewarded with this, but the speed of play was so much better. The ball movement, you could see that Motown starts to dive in and wants to chase a little bit. That has to be more of what they're going to need to see in the second half, but obviously hoping to convert here.
So it's Noah Powder heading over to take this corner. 2 USL Championship victories with New York Red Bulls 2 and Real Monarchs. Crushes this ball into the box. It's headed into the sky. Schaefer retreats, bobbles, leaps over the top of Bobby Pierre to smother.
This is a good ball, and the initial header goes straight up, and so it's not out of danger, but Schaefer does eventually clean it up.
Scoreless after 45. Second half action comes your way when we come back. We welcome you back to Montclair, New Jersey, where it is scoreless between Westchester and FC Motown. Michael Watcher and Casey White and her team back with you here as we watch the U.S. Open Cup's opening round matchup. And in that first half, Westchester really had more of the chances. They obviously had more of the ball, and it's an opportunity for this group to try to get a second half goal, but haven't had that happen so far.
Well, yes, they've definitely been dominant in possession, and they've created the most opportunities. But I think that was the expectation coming into this game. But Motown has a really good approach right now of how they're defending, making it a little bit hard, giving a ton of effort in the defensive third as well. And then they're looking for those opportunities of when they can go forward, can they be dangerous and make Westchester uncomfortable?
So let's take a look at the highlights from the opening 45 minutes of play here in this one. As you see the scores first and foremost before we get to the highlights, you take a look at Hartford Athletic. They're doing their job with 3 goals in the opening, or 2 goals in the first half. They get another goal there at the end. New Jersey Alliance leads Chattanooga Red Wolves 1-0. That would be an upset in that one. Miami FC with a 2-0 victory. Sarasota and FC Naples scoreless so far. It's halftime between Asheville and Greenville. That is an all-USL matchup in that one. It's a very busy day here in the U.S. Open Cup. And then you take a look. Loudon just got one back against Westchester United. 4-0 with a goal leading Texoma. And later on tonight, you have Tulsa Athletic against FC Tulsa. Same city matchup for that one. AV Alta, one of the USL League One teams, playing Ventura County Fusion in the nightcap. Ventura County against Laguna United here coming up later in the U.S. Open Cup. So how did we get to this point through 45 minutes of play? Well, it's been a lot on that right side of the field. It's been a lot of Prince A.D. as well. Prince
A.D., when he gets in 1v1 isolation, is incredibly dangerous. He always looks to go towards goal. He's shifty. He's got great technique. He's looking to penetrate in behind the back line. Had the initial opportunity trying here to set up Blumstein in the final third. Not quite able to do it as FC Motown was there and disciplined. And then Sadie was doing it on one side. Obregon was the other player that was really good in the first half, on the ball a lot, got the set piece, not really enough to test Schaefer, but they would continue to go back and forth. Obregon again would look to get the one-time volley, but Motown just continued to give everything they could to make sure nothing got on frame, and nothing epitomizes it more than this one by Ruiz.
There was a lot of traffic standing on the line, but Ruiz did his job to rescue the moment. What adjustments do you want to see in the attack for Westchester?
I think the ball movement and speed of play has to be quicker, whether it is off the pass or being a little more decisive off the dribble to draw players out of the defensive shape that Motown is very comfortable in. Just having that ruthlessness in the final third, I think, is what they need to change.
This isn't a typical amateur versus pro matchup because Westchester is playing just its second ever match. They drew at Greenville on the road over the weekend in their first ever match as a club. So they're looking for their first ever win as an organization as well here tonight. And they are one of the 26 debutants in the 2025 U.S. Open Cup, including one of the 5 from USL League One. While FC Motown on the other side, they're used to this. They won the 2022 NPSL National Championship. They went to the national final last year. While they did have some roster turnover, it's very much an organization that consistently produces in this tournament.
Well, and I think that's showing, and I wouldn't say I really think that they need to change anything of what they're doing. I think maybe they need to be aware of the wide areas and not getting caught with 2 against 1 and 3 against 2s, because I would assume Westchester has seen that and they're going to try to take more advantage of the wide space. So being aware of that's important, but their disciplined shape right now and the way they're looking to possess and transition quickly is working for them.
So we're ready to start off the second half of play. It's Westchester in the white kits and FC Motown in the black kits. And here's second half play in the U.S. Open Cup. Opening round. About ready to get going here. It's great to have you on board for this matchup. Michael Watring, Casey White, and her team watching this contest with you here in the first round on the first day of a long-awaited 110th U.S. Open Cup. Second half underway. We'll see how the second half plays out. Officially, the numbers in the first half: 6 shots, 2 on target for Westchester, 2 shots, none on target for FC Motown. Ball swung across the field. Neto nudges it along. Germain clips it back out wide. Cordero. Germain lets it fly by. And it gets spun back out to midfield. That's a really good play right there by Neto to rescue. Dodges one, spins it to the top. Bednarski unable to feed it right back to Neto. Good early pressure here from FC Motown.
And what we're seeing from both teams is the ability to possess. It's those final third details, but that's what you expect early on in a season. The final third execution, the runs above the ball, and then which type of pass to play when and the right timing is really difficult at this part of the season.
Looking at Westchester and speaking with Dave Carton, he talked about what he wants his group to look like in terms of some of those performance indicators, but specifically he said he wants each player to run about 14 to 16 kilometers per match. 10 to 12% of that be at the high speed level. So you're talking about maybe 1,400 meters of high speed action. Team that can attack in transition, that can complete, 650 passes or so a match. He talked about the fact that when they were putting together things, he was so tactical and technical, not just with those performance indicators, but also the age groups that he was producing, the percentages that he wanted in each bucket of ages. And he was able to hit all those spots. Now, after putting all that data into a bowl, you have to come out and see what this team can be like on a game-to-game pitch. And they're playing their first 5 matches of the year on the road. It's going to be a long time until we really know how competitive and how good this team can be.
Well, what was so interesting about talking to him was all the data and how that can be a coach's friend and how they've gotten this framework and their game model and everything ready to go. But he also talked about that being able to get that result helped the belief in the coaching staff and the belief in each other, and that has to continue to build.
A lot of room on that side, and a chance here as this ball's bounced in. Schaefer comes up with a critical save. Second go at it. 2 men save it. It's Voltaire helping Schaefer. And FC Motown deny Westchester an opening goal.
Well, and this was great build-up play, a good slip ball from Obregon, and then a very good opportunity. Schaefer does well. The first initial clearance as well is good, but right there, Voltaire does exactly what he should do. Schaefer was a little high. He gets in behind, and he makes sure that he's just that extra little help there that it might be needed on the inline.
Jean Voltaire is a big rig 18-wheeler driver in his daytime, and now he comes and has been a consistent, steady cog in the central defense and comes up with a critical stop there to keep this scoreless.
When speaking to Torrey Weaver, he talked so much about Voltaire and his ability to lead the back line, not only good in 1v1 defending moments, things like that, but to be able to make sure they're completely organized as well.
Leong mishits that ball. It goes out. Corner kick oncoming here for Westchester as they lean a little bit here on FC Motown in the opening moments of this second half of play. This ball curls in. Lawrence wins the header, but it's skies high. Very much a moment here for FC Motown to collect their breaths just a little bit now. We updated you on some of the scores at halftime. Well, Chattanooga has come back to tie New Jersey Alliance. A penalty kick goal from Matt Bentley has tied it for Chattanooga. 1 apiece, a quarter hour to go in that one. And Loudon have flipped the switch. Christian Sordo, a penalty in the 49th minute, have put Loudon out in front of Westchester United 2-1. While many people's eyes this week might turn to the hardwood and the tournament that will be in NCAA, it's very much a very similar feel here in the U.S. Open Cup, with each passing moment, games getting tighter and tighter and just waiting for that last second moment of greatness from one of the two sides. Neto charges to the end line, hooks this ball back post. It does stay in play. Bermudez. Bednarski circles. Splits a bunch of defenders, but doesn't latch up with anybody.
Well, there's just a lack of numbers there in the box for FC Motown, but I like what Neto's doing. He's done really well, especially at the start of the second half. Did a little bit in the first of just keeping possession, slowing the game down, but still being dangerous. What that does, it allows more players to get into that attacking third, and they can kind of generate something out of that in that moment.
Neto grew up in Brazil, 24 years of age, his first few months out of college from Providence. Lawrence. Bolaños. His presence has been felt in this match. Payne's cross gets knocked away. And another corner kick coming here for Westchester. 7th corner of the match coming up. Noah Powder, the Trinidad and Tobago international star, swings this ball in. Voltaire clears. Powder again shovels it in. Takes a ricochet. Bolaños watches it out, and another corner kick coming up. Like it might just be a moment in time for Westchester to be able to get the opening goal as they continue to apply the pressure. Powder hooks this ball in. First header skied into the air, second one swept away. Germain takes no chances and swings it out to midfield.
And Voltaire is just everywhere, isn't he? He's winning first balls, he's winning second balls. He's just that emotional, physical leader for the back line for FC Motown. But I like that moment for Motown better. It's a better clearance. It allows them to step their lines a little bit more because they're getting more and more compact because of this attack.
Powder charges. Sadie, maybe the most impactful player in the opening 45. As his arm tugged, he stops and thus gives the ball away.
And I understand why Sadie stops in that moment, but honestly, I would argue he's more dangerous than the free kick that would have been given. I mean, free kicks are so dangerous, but him off the dribble going into the penalty area, fighting that off, I think would be more dangerous for Westchester.
This time it is a foul on the far side. We've had one booking so far. It came in the first half. Chris Bermudez was the one booked.
And Motown just looks to go forward right here, uses that little bit of technique to draw in the pressure and get the foul called.
See how FC Motown handle this. This ball bounced in. Chip through. Germain was looking. Powder, though, sends this ball away. It's a great turn here. Voltaire tight ropes the sideline and cannot keep it in. This is very familiar territory for FC Motown, and their matches that they've played, they've had 3 games finish in extra time. 2 have gone to penalties. Out of the nearly dozen matches that they've played, roughly a half of those have finished with more time than the 90 minutes. It's a good turn here, and a one-time shot that Schaefer punches to the side.
And Obregon is floating into that space behind the midfield. It's a little more condensed than it was in the first half, and that's a Motown just adjusting to the way he likes to play, but he still finds that half-yard of space to get a shot off, and that's just how dangerous he can be when he floats in there, because he makes those center backs make a decision. Do they step, or do they stay in that space?
It's another giveaway. Sadie throws this through the middle. A bobble from Blumstein. He punches at it. Schaefer saves, but the flag's up for offside.
And in hindsight, Blumstein probably should have taken this with his left foot, but this is good from Sadie, coming more inverted inside. Blumstein gets it on his left foot. It just kind of goes off to Obregon, who's in that offside position, but really good from Sadie. I like how he's coming in and overloading there centrally.
A couple warning shots coming here from Westchester as they try to inch closer to taking an advantage in this one. One game is final. The USL Championships. Hartford Athletic is through 3-0 against New York Shockers. A few more matches will be wrapping up here in just a few more minutes.
When you mentioned that Westchester is starting to find a little bit more, this is where we talk about the fatigue factor. And I don't just mean physical fatigue, but the mental fatigue of defending and staying disciplined can be incredibly tough as you're building those unit partnerships. And so will there be some substitutions that come in, or will they just try to get back their shape defensively?
Only 30% of the ball has been with FC Motown in this match. It has been a consistent stride forward here for Westchester as they have all 4 shots in the second half. Well, Sadie does pretty well there to keep the ball in play.
That was nifty, wasn't it? I like that.
Yeah, even when he makes a mistake, it's the right touch.
He's like, I can solve it, it's fine.
Lawrence on the wide side. It's this ball first time across, and yet again the back line controls. Excellent touch along this left side. It's Neto. He darts to the middle of the park, and it's slid away, but Ruiz is there to recover. Uses a little bit of a shield. Jermaine touches it. Bermudez. Ruiz again. And ultimately never able to solve that puzzle in the back. And Blumstein is fouled. It's going to be a booking as well. Eddie Speed is going to go in the books, and not really that bad of a foul in the end because there was some numbers forward there.
It really wasn't a bad foul, but it's a tactical foul in this moment because Obregon is overlapping that space. Yes, there's still 2 defenders behind the ball, but it was an obvious attempt just to slow play down.
We're going to get our first changes here in this match. I'm wondering when we maybe see a couple substitutions. And it's going to be Luca Campbell coming in. Campbell, 22 years of age, played collegiately at Stevens, a Division III program. Grew up here in Montclair, New Jersey. And the 22-year-old comes onto the field here in the 60th minute. Ball's poked away and conceding another corner kick. Cordero punches that out.
Well, to my point earlier, Prince Sadie going 1v1, I think is more dangerous than corners and set pieces. And I think Cordero might say the same thing, as he did not want to get beat around the outside. And that's not to put down the set pieces or this corner kick opportunity, but he is just incredibly dangerous when he has that space.
Just past the hour mark. Scoreless between Westchester and FC Motown in the first round of Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup's 110th edition, alongside former North Carolina star Casey White. Michael Watring and our team with you here. Great to have you on board. Noah Powder measures, swings it in, and we get a foul before the ball can even cross that initial white line.
And the in-swinger would have been dangerous, but there's just a lot of movement there, and you can see right in the middle at the top of the 6-yard box going down was Bednarski on the defensive effort for Motown.
There's a surge after the initial touch. Just out of the reach after Speed had pushed that in, but Bermudez back on it. Bermudez wants the left foot, comes back to the right. Lawrence shuts him down, and the former MLS star handles that defensively. Jermaine might have been offside. Doesn't matter because it's out for a goal kick.
Well, in so many ways, Michael, I like what FC Motown's doing. They're showing a lot of patience and composure in the final third, but there's a part of me that would like to see a little more ruthlessness, like take a half chance. They haven't had a lot of the possession, so when you're there, try to get a half yard of space. Even if it's a block shot, whatever it may be, you never know what can happen in that final third. I think that's that missing piece. Almost one or too many passes too many when they're in there and they have an opportunity to go to goal.
Yeah, we talked to a lot of different coaches in a lot of leagues, a lot of different levels, and all of them seem to talk about the same level of ruthlessness that's needed in front of goal. Sometimes you just have to have that courage to take that shot. Because like you said, you never know what kind of redirect, what kind of deflection it might take, what's going to you might want a corner out of it. Something positive can happen when you take that shot, and maybe for FC Motown, they haven't had a shot in the second half. We'll need to do just that.
And context is really important in it. If you're not getting a ton of final third entries or box entries, then when you are there, you want to make the most of them. So if you're getting more, maybe there's options to figure out, okay, this should be an extra pass more than a shot just to shift the defense. But for them, because of the context of this game, I think it makes sense to take those chances.
For context, in this match in particular, Westchester has twice as many final third entries as FC Motown does. But the difference, 12 touches in the opponent's box for Westchester, 9 for FC Motown. They just haven't pulled that trigger once they've been inside of the 18.
And a lot of that possession for Westchester, especially in the first half, was the center backs and holding mids on the ball.
There's a good run. Neto in the middle of the field. He tries to dart past the defender, leaves it over. It's Ruiz into the gloves of Jacoman. First shot on goal in this match for FC Motown.
And almost just on cue, that's what I'm talking about, is they at least got a shot off to be able to test Jacoman there in that final third, and it comes off the dispossession between the center backs and the holding mids. That's what Motown wants to do, try to lull them to sleep in their possession and then capitalize and create the 3v2 going forward, which Neto did a brilliant job of.
Does Westchester respond now? Sadie is in the middle of the field after he spent a lot of time along this right channel in the first half.
There is an opportunity to create a 4-against-2 there in midfield with Sadie going inside, Obregon coming out, and that leaves the wide space for the outside backs. I can see why they're trying to take advantage of that and just kind of vary up the way they're attacking.
Everybody back defensively for FC Motown. Powder looks for somebody. Instead, it's Sadie. Powder fires this in over the top of Blomstein. And it goes out for a goal kick here.
And just dispossession right here. This is what's dangerous about the way Westchester's attacking. Neto gets on the ball, draws a defender, good technique, able to find Ruiz, and I'm glad that Ruiz goes in the one-time shot. You want to keep that low, but that's what we want to see more from them, is turning those defensive efforts into attacking opportunities.
And there's a foul whistled on Luka Campbell. Westchester just played a few days ago, and they have not used a substitute so far.
And just going a bit more direct, it's Campbell just coming on a couple minutes ago, putting the pressure on Pierre. A little bit of an extension of the arm there you could see as Campbell tries to dispossess the center back.
Powder sprints past the defender. McGlynn goes direct with this pass, and it's Cordero over the top, knocking it away. We are going to get a substitute here. And Westchester will indeed use a couple changes here in this moment. Samori Powder and Ermin Makic are both coming in. Samori Powder, 24 years of age, the younger brother of Noah. The ball stays in play, so play on. Campbell rolls this ball across the field, but the run, never going to be able to make it over there in time. I think all things considered, FC Motown, if you would have told them with about 25 minutes to go in regulation of this match and you're all level, you'd be pretty happy with the performance so far.
And I think that's the goal is, look, you want to go into every game and win, but you have to understand that it is a 90-minute game. There are going to be moments of it being a chess match. It's just not back and forth and, oh, yeah, we're going to win. We have to figure out strategically how do we match up with this opposition. And they've done a really good job of that. And you're right. I think they'd be happy with where they're at right now, and then they can try to make sure they generate an opportunity to score a goal.
And Sadie not very pleased with that whistle after a lot of physicality before that.
I think one of the things to remember that when we spoke to Dave Carton about his team with Westchester was he was really happy with the last 25 minutes of the last game, the substitutions, the fitness factor. So we're getting into the final 20 now. It'll be interesting to see if there's any changes, if those substitutes coming on inject a little bit more life into the attack and just enough to maybe upset Motown in their back line and in their structure.
They really liked the impact that they had off the bench in the game against Greenville. Here's a foul whistled. No card this time around. '70th minute of play in the first round of the U.S. Open Cup. FC Motown out of the NPSL, making a 7th consecutive trip to this tournament. In 2022, they reached the 3rd round. Westchester, the expansion team, playing its 2nd game ever. Michael Watrang, former U.S. Women's National Team star Casey White and her team with you. Great to have you on board. Neto wins this ball away from Noah Powder. And now he gets it in the middle of the field with room to roam. Cuts it across the field. Campbell elects to play back.
Well, these are good decisions right here from FC Motown. Just not a lot of numbers forward, so relax on the ball, recycle play, try to make Westchester chase just a little bit. I've been impressed with those decisions, I will say, from Motown in this game.
This ball hooks to the sideline. Jermaine rolls it through. Neto had a little more space had he slowed it down in time. Tries to carve out a little bit of grass. Neto turning, twisting, shooting, ping-ponging, and ultimately thrown down the right channel and out of play. Neto. That's Campbell, rather. Promising here for FC Motown. Cordero need to take this. Former player at New Jersey Institute of Technology. 6 goals, 10 assists in 4 years there. 28-year-old. Voltaire. Leong. Some fascinating matches taking place around the rest of the U.S. Open Cup. How about a stoppage time equalizer from New Jersey Alliance? Joel Quist, 90+2 to tie it up against Chattanooga Red Wolves, as it looks like they're heading to extra time.
That's just the kind of stuff that happens in the Open Cup, isn't it? And that's what makes it exciting.
And then perhaps a stoppage time winner. We'll get to that in a second as this ball's flown over the top. Slowed down, brought back. Voltaire sweeps it away, erasing it from Makic. And a foul whistled, and this is going to be the first booking against Westchester. Obregon gets shown a yellow card.
I don't think it can be overstated how well Makic does in this moment. Everything about this is so composed, but look at that change of direction from Voltaire. He makes it look so easy to defend in the 1v1 in that area. It is not, I'm telling you, that is very hard. And then they're caught chasing because they thought they had an opportunity, and Obregon is upset, gets the yellow card. But I love the defending from Jean Voltaire in that moment.
Well, it was scoreless between Sarasota Paradise and FC Naples until the 79th minute. FC Naples took the lead, and then right back, Sarasota tied the score. Chris Solari tied in the 88th minute, and then bouncing right back, 90+1. FC Naples captures the lead. Kevin O'Connor puts one away. It's 2-1, 96th minute of that match. Closing in on the end. And all sorts of things happening between Loudoun and Westchester United. Back and forth they bounce. It's 3-2 right now in favor of Loudoun United in the 77th minute. Are we in for something wild to end this match here? Great to have you on board with us for this contest as we watch the first ever meeting of what could become a U.S. Open Cup fixture in years to come. FC Motown out of the NPSL reached the national final, finished 1 point off of the regular season pace of Annapolis Blues in 2024, and would lose to El Farolito in the NPSL final. Michael Watrang and Casey White with you here for this matchup here this evening, looking for a goal for one of these two sides. Shots are 10-4 in favor of Westchester, but we've seen FC Motown start to get some chances.
And a lot of that has come through Neto's feed. I think he's been really good in the middle third, slowing play down, but also being creative to go forward.
Dane Jacoman has needed just one save so far tonight. That came a few moments ago when Ruiz was in transition. Yamamoto. Here he is, the composer. Campbell yet again goes wide. They have some numbers at the top of the 18. On the turn, it's a sprint and a shot coming in that takes one skip, and Jacoman grabs it after Eddie's speed decided to give it a go.
And again, all that happens because Neto's so good at absorbing pressure. It's his first touch, taking it away from the players that are stepping to try to condense the space, and he just absorbs it so well, it allows everyone to get into the attack.
Switch of field here to the far left side. A dart towards the middle. Powder shifts it around. Campbell chases after it. Doesn't win the race. Pierre does. And it's a foul.
And that's a rare mistake from Joel Johnson. He's been really good in midfield. We haven't said his name a whole lot because he's just simplistic in the way that he connects play for Westchester SC. But it happens at times like that when you're on the ball as much as he is. But we're seeing more natural width from Samori Powder off the left. And I think if we continue to see that off both sides, it'll bode well for the attack for Westchester.
Campbell bobbles. A lot of possession here for Westchester, but the anxiety of this resistance from FC Motown forcing them to retreat. McGlynn. Everything forced to go wide right now. Lawrence. Ball thrown in, knocked down initially, pivoting, turning, stumbling. It's a penalty. And FC Motown, after so much defending, commits this foul and concedes a penalty kick here in the 79th minute.
And Obregon gets this ball back to goal. Great first touch, even better second touch, just keeping possession. Decides to be a little bit creative, try to go through the legs there. It's hard to tell how much contact there was in that moment, but anytime a player is back to goal, you want to become more patient defensively because they have all the advantage in the world, yet they're not going anywhere. They're back to goal, so you don't want to give them the opportunity like that just happened to Motown.
We have one of the veterans on the field in the 27-year-old J.C. Obregon, and he draws this penalty kick, and now is a big moment for Josh Schaefer because this very well could be a decisive moment in this match with just about 10 more minutes to go. And no doubt about it that it will be J.C. Obregon converted the penalty in the 14th minute at Greenville 10 days ago. What can Josh Schaefer do here? Facing a penalty kick from Obregon. J.C. Obregon strikes it low and just past Schaefer and into the nets. Westchester finally break through with less than 10 to play. 1-0.
And Obregon, it was definitely a bright spot of this game so far. He's been very active in midfield. Great first touch. This is what set up the penalty kick. 3 players converge on Obregon, and he's clipped right there in that moment for the penalty kick. Steps up. This penalty isn't about power. Yes, there's enough power behind it, enough speed, but it's about accuracy, keeping it low, and really nothing Schaefer can do on that because of the accuracy and the trajectory of the penalty.
That is a backbreaker for FC Motown. And now how will they respond in the final minutes? So let's see how FC Motown can find a response. Trailing for the first time in this match after doing so much defensively to keep Westchester away from goal, to keep them out of chances. They concede.
And they'll push more into a 4-3-3, get their wingers a little bit higher. They had been playing more defensively, looked more like a 4-5-1, but getting Neto higher, getting Bermudez higher on that opposite side, it will expose things at the back that Westchester can take advantage of potentially, but they've got to get more numbers going forward to try to get the equalizer.
And they definitely haven't seen a lot of the ball in this match either. 5 total shots for the day. Vasquez leaves it forward. This cross bangs off of bodies. Neto comes back. Taken away by Powder. Leaves it back for McGlynn.
And this is what's so incredibly difficult. You saw Cordero, the left back for Motown, stepping really high, getting beaten in behind. We weren't seeing that before because there wasn't the urgency to have to come out of their defensive shape. Now there is.
Lawrence hustles through. It's taken off that first ball. Here's Germain. The right idea, but not enough pace from Bednarski. That Westchester have scored, you know that they want a second to put any doubt in the rear view as they look to advance to the second round. Here's Powder hitting this ball from way outside, and it finds the bleachers, and that allows FC Motown to breathe a little bit easier.
It's really not what you want in that moment. I mean, you can't fault the confidence to try to hit her from that distance, but if you're Westchester SC, you're trying to move the ball, create gaps, make them chase, tire them out, and then look to penetrate and try to get that second goal.
So a few different subs coming in here. So 3 in totality for FC Motown. Joseph Fala, Ilya Tirkis, and Andrew Maya all come in for FC Motown, and then Toby Adewale comes in for Westchester. Some defensive reinforcement for Dave Carton's side. Samori Powder turns on the afterburners. Crosses this ball all the way back post. Vasquez leaves it back. Here's this shot attempt that ricochets, and Schaefer yet again rescues after Makic was trying to make it 2-0. Every second now, so critical for FC Motown to try to find something here down the stretch. Not enough pace to get over to that ball.
And FC Motown has moved into more of a three-back as they build, getting one more number in a more advanced position, just trying to make it a little bit more uncomfortable for Westchester as they search for the equalizer. And this was that last opportunity. Powder, who's come in the second half, has really been a bright spot, looking to bend this ball in behind the back line. 3 runners to the back post. Vasquez, Voltaire gets a head on it, and then Schaefer's just in the right place, able to change trajectory of which way he was going to make that save.
Westchester leads on a J.C. Obregon penalty kick in the 81st minute. Looking for the club's first ever win. It would come here in the 110th U.S. Open Cup. Long ball sent down the park. Fala chases, knocks it back. Tirkis finds space, rolls it to the right. Bermudez back across. And the flag is up for offside. Or no, it's a foul, I'm sorry. Right at the top of the 18-yard box.
Well, and it was interesting because it looked like there was going to be an offside call on this as Tirkis goes, looks in this moment to play to the outside, but he does take him out late, and I think this is the right call. It's a foul at the top of the box. Yes, the offside was after that, but it was after the foul. So this coming back and being a free kick for FC Motown is definitely the right call in my opinion.
Well, if you're FC Motown and you've ever had a dynamic strike, this is the moment to make it happen. Israel Neto is going to be the man tasked with this opportunity.
You see Westchester putting a player down behind the wall as well, so they can jump. They can get maximum height with it being this close, but still be able to block anything that's low. So you see that not all the time, but it's definitely something with this kind of range.
You have 5 directly standing in the wall, 1 laying beneath it, and now 2 more flank the corners. Israel Neto has been great in the run of play. The former Providence Friar strikes this ball and just whistles it wide left.
And it appeared Neto was looking for that gap from right outside the wall, being able to try to put that into that far post. And it's well taken. It was actually very close, right to over the left shoulder of Obregon, where it looks like it's going to go. It does curl and end up curling over his right, and that's why it goes wide.
Moment you dream about as a kid, to have a chance like that. And just couldn't quite put it on target. Will there be another chance in the waning moments of this one for FC Motown? Neto gets taken out by McGlynn. It's taken away. Westchester trying to see this one out. 90th minute of play. Down the field it goes. Jacoman calls everybody off. I thought for a second there he might dive all the way across the line.
It was close.
How much stoppage time will we have? Will there be enough of a moment here for FC Motown to try to make something happen? Foul given. Past the 90-minute mark now. Voltaire across the field. High arcing ball, left-hand side, knocked away. Sounding like maybe 5 minutes of stoppage time here in the second half. Joseph Fala ready to fire this one in. He's got some drama in his time. And the game winner against Philly Union when he was with the Red Bulls in 2020. With the second teams. And Fala tosses this in. It reaches the 18. It gets a clip. Neto was retreating, and Jacobin is alert to it. That a dangerous tool in the toolbox if they can get more chances like that.
It essentially is an extra set piece opportunity, and Ruiz able to get ahead on it. Neto was stepping because Westchester did really well to step their line, so afraid of being offside, retreating a little bit. So that's good organization defensively as well from Westchester.
The winner advances to the next round. The loser goes home, and their U.S. Open Cup run comes to an end. Much more time will there be? Critical moments here down the stretch. Ball takes a poke. Powder slams the brakes on. There's space on that side. It's Vasquez running in. Vasquez shoots and hits the post, but the flag is up for offside.
Well, and that's what happens when you're pushing numbers forward. But FC Motown's going to be okay with that. They've got to press in this moment, so they'll be okay with giving stuff up the other direction.
A couple more minutes remain in this one. We reach the finish line. 1-0 Westchester. Does FC Motown have a storybook equalizer? It's brought in, a juggle, and then a handball. Andrew Maya. That'll allow several seconds to tick off the clock here as Jacobin, with all of his professional experience, ready to watch this one tick off the clock. We have one game needing extra time. That's that New Jersey-Chattanooga match tied at 2. Campbell knocks it back. Arcs it around. There's space on this side. Fala aids it along, but too much on it. Probably could have just let it go.
I think it would have been better off with that, just to put a little too much pace and extra pace on that touch.
And now a booking here. Stephen Payne is going to get the yellow card for time wasting. From what we heard, it was about 5 minutes of stoppage time, so maybe another minute to go. 2 of the last 3 losses in the Open Cup for Westchester came in either extra time or penalties. Down by a goal here. They've given up a penalty in the 81st minute to J.C. Obregon, and that's the difference. Through the middle it goes. Westchester trying to put this match away. Makic slides it out wide. It is Obregon with a hefty touch, leaving the door slightly ajar in the waning seconds. Bednarski goes direct. Fala knocks it down. It takes a header. One move in and a hard tackle. Jacobin is out to get it.
And you can see the veteran presence of Jacobin in that moment, understanding how to manage the space behind the back line. This is incredibly dangerous from Tierkes getting in there. Good timing, though, from Jacobin, and brave to come out and make sure to snuff it out.
And you can see the enthusiasm after the save. And now after the club's first ever victory, J.C. Obregon's penalty in the 81st minute allows Westchester to advance to the second round. 1-0 winners over FC Motown. Well, how about this match here today? It was a white knuckler for a time. It was back and forth we would go. There would be some chances in this one. How about Josh Schaefer, though? He had so many good saves in this match. He
did incredibly well with the help of Voltaire as well on that one, but Westchester did impose themselves even more in the second half if that was possible. Just more dangerous opportunities from their front runners. There was a great opportunity here. Creating a 3v2 was Neto, dispossessing in the middle third, playing off to his right, and a good opportunity from Ruiz. Doesn't really touch Jacoman, but again, it would be Westchester that continues to go forward. Eventually, this is what would be the breakthrough, was just impatient defending, taking out the leg of Obregon, and a penalty called.
And then J.C. Obregon finishes tightly. He scored in both of the matches in Westchester history.
Yeah, and he was incredibly influential within the run of play as well, and obviously steps up in a big moment for Westchester.
And it's a victory tonight, Westchester SC. First ever win in club history. They're on to the second round and will play either April 1st or April 2nd as the USL League One side, Westchester, advances into round number 2 as you see the Open Cup schedule that'll last all the way to October. FC Motown put up the fight tonight, just a little bit short this evening.
They were, and they're not going to be happy right now. They played incredibly well. I would feel a little hard done by if I'm FC Motown losing on a penalty kick, but that's what teams do that advance through tournaments like this. They just find a way to win, and that's what Westchester did.
The oldest tournament in the United States is underway, and a flourishing start to this one here in New Jersey. Back and forth we went between the amateur side and the pro side, but it's Westchester prevailing on J.C. Obregon's penalty in the 81st minute. 1-0 victors for the USL League One side. Plenty more action to come this week. US Soccer's YouTube channel has all the action. For my partner Casey White and our entire crew, I'm Michael Watt-Frank signing off. Thanks so much for watching. Good night, everybody.